Hello everybody and welcome back. The Wi-Fi is back up and running. I can finally upload again. But today we've got a special video, or not special video, but a video on. We're going to look at all 6 of the Six Nations teams and roughly figure out if they had a successful tournament or not. Some did and some didn't. It's kind of as simple as that. And we'll go bottom up. So we'll start off with the team that came last, which was of course the Welsh. Wales didn't have a very good tournament. They lost every single game. Now, yes, they lost to England, Scotland and Italy by, a couple of points. 1 to Scotland, 2 to England, and was it 2 or 3 to Italy? So, some tight losses, but really, Scotland were battering them in the first half, then Scotland switched off. Italy were battering them, and then I think Italy switched off a little bit. Wales just didn't look that great for most of the tournament. I mean, especially it was pretty evident if you were on the Super Saturday live stream. I said multiple times, what is this Welsh attack plan? They did barely anything in attack. They quite often relied on other teams making mistakes and giving them the chance. They weren't making their own chances, which was showing as to why they were not scoring that many. Yes, they scored a few. They got a couple of got try bonus point against Scotland. They outscored Italy. But they were. That's mainly because Scotland was giving away all the penalties. Basically, Scotland just let Wales sit in their own 22. Let Wales sit in Scotland's 22. That's how Wales scored a lot there. Italy, Italy, I think they just turned off towards the end. Wales did bugger all until the last 5 minutes when it was slightly too late. And then, although I thought Wales did alright in the first half against France, again, they just did absolutely nothing in the second half and got ripped to shreds, especially in that last 20 minutes. I let them off for Ireland, because it's Ireland. And really only one, maybe a half team kind of managed to actually give Ireland a fight in a game. But no, Wales not very successful. There was glimpses, of course. There's a few solid players in there. I thought people like Cameron Winnett were good. I liked Alex Mann, Tommy Reffell. There was a few players who coming up and you look and go, look like really solid players for the future. But as for now, Wales weren't that great. But on the second side, we're going to move on to our next team now, which is, of course, the Italians. And Italy looked bloody good. They won 2 games for the first time in, I can't even tell you. You must be going back at least 10 years, if not 15, to the last time Italy won 2. And they should have won their 3rd against France as well. That last kick that they probably should have been allowed to take again. But that, and they grew as the tournament went on. They gave England. I'd argue they should have beaten England. I don't think England were very good against them. I think Italy did really well against England. Then Ireland did in Ireland and absolutely smashed them. Then, I think a lot of people expected them to just kind of whimper out, but they didn't. They came back, they gave France the game, they drew with them, and again with the kick, and then going and winning the first game in Rome since 2014, beating Scotland, and then going and basically battering Wales is what they did. I know the scoreline might not suggest that, but Italy basically battered Wales. The Azzurri are a very, very good place, and look how young the team is. They can only really go up from here. I wouldn't be surprised if they get 3 or 4 wins and be knocking on top 2, if not pushing the title in the next few years. I wouldn't even be surprised if Italy win the Six Nations before the next World Cup, and I was going to say that about Scotland, but the last 2 rounds of but I'll get to them. But Italy are just looking really good. You've got that Brexancello, as people are coining it as, midfield of Brex and Menoncello are looking incredible. absolutely phenomenal. Capuzzo, good as ever. Garbisi, good as ever. Lamaro, Negri, there's so many that you'd think and go, this team is going somewhere. You know. But yeah, next up, fourth is Scotland, and this is a tough one because I personally do not believe Scotland deserve fourth, but I don't think they deserve much higher. You know, if Scotland came third, I'd probably understand. They won 2 games, they beat Wales and they beat England. They should have beaten France, that was a try. A lot of people are saying they probably should have beaten Ireland as well, as they don't think one of Ireland's tries were legit, but nah, they shouldn't have beaten Ireland. Scotland are in a weird place, as they looked settled. I actually thought Scotland were pretty good. They struggled. There was one or two certain aspects, and the main thing with me was Scotland need to learn to hold a lead better. Twice I can think of that they had a big lead, if it was at half time or just before or just after, you know. In the Wales game, 29-0 up at this, you know, about 45 minutes, somehow just won 29-28. You know, you shouldn't be slipping up there. Italy, the Italian game, they were up, what, 12, 13, 14 points just before half time. You shouldn't slip up from those positions. Now, yes, you've got to commemorate Wales and Italy for keeping the fight and them not giving up, but from a Scotland point of view, you're looking at that and going, they can't do that, you know. And penalty count was one major aspect of that, you know. In that Wales game was at 14 in a row. They can't do that, they really can't. But there was some positives. They played well in a couple of games. I thought the defence against Ireland was really, really good. What was it, 250 tackles or something? I think the only reason that Ireland won that game was because Scotland just got tired. I wouldn't be surprised if Scotland could have held Ireland out for much longer, but they just got tired, slipped a few penalties, gave up a yellow card, and when you're in that position against the Irish, they're gonna kill you. They did really well against England. I mean, they always do really well against England, but they did. I thought the first half against Wales was some of the best rugby you've ever seen from Scotland, especially in recent times. I thought some of the bits of the France game were good, until, you know, they just lacked the game management, and the first half hour against Italy was really good as well. So there is promising signs from Scotland. It's just been able to put it all together. I think if you combine the performances from about the last year of Scotland, they'd have a complete game. They just cannot seem to get every single bit right, and hopefully all these, you know, they're not facing big tier 1 side till the autumn now. The summer too is to the US, you know, they're facing America, Canada, Chile, Uruguay, and then they're coming back. They've got Fiji, the Box, okay, the Box are a big game, Portugal, and then Australia, who, depending on thing, could be another big game. But, you know, they've not got many big teams. This is where they need to work on the bread and butter. They will have big leads in those games. They need to learn to be able to hold them. Now, yes, of course, especially against Six Nations teams, the likes of America and Canada aren't going to push you as much as an England or an Italy or, you know, something like that. But they still can give them a shot. And I think Scotland could go two ways from here. They could fight back. I wouldn't be surprised if they come back and, you know, maybe have another push next year. It wouldn't surprise me if they just whimper out now. I really hope they fight back. I still believe that this team can go places. I still believe they probably have a Six Nations in them, but they've still got quite a long way to go. But yeah, that's Scotland. Moving on, next up is England, and England again are a weird one. They were not very good for the first 3 games. You know, Italy should have beaten them. You know, they squeezed past Wales and were that bad against Scotland that Scotland didn't actually really need to get out a second game, and they still dominated them. But, you know, that performance against Ireland, now yes, I'll admit, I suspect it's something to do with Ireland not underestimating England and kind of not being up for it as much as England were. But England still played well, and then the France game, you know, just just a complete switch. Something happened in that off week between the Scotland and Ireland games with England. And you see it from England fans, it's like, do you trust Borthwick? And they're like, from the first 3 games, no. From the last 2 games, yes. And, I said it after the Ireland game, we have to wait and see if that's a one-off, or if England can build on those 2 performances, they're gonna do well. But if they go back to what they were in the first few games, they're gonna go back to losing to teams like Fiji, just squeezing past Samoa, should have been lost to Italy, So it all depends. But I thought England had an alright tournament. I mean, they won 3, lost 2, which is actually better than I thought they'd do. Basically, I thought Ireland would beat them, and then that's what I said they'd do. But yeah, I thought they had some really standout players. I thought Ben Earl was incredible. I think he should probably win Player of the Tournament. Him or Bundy Aki, I think, would be my 2 picks. Can't remember if Bundy Aki's on the shortlist. Again, the Furbank Stewart thing, they played better with Furbank than Stewart, bar the Scotland game. So it'll be interesting to see. I thought Faye Waboso coming in, I wasn't sure, but he's looked good. I think George Ford's still proving why he's England's best 10. So I think that England aren't too bad. As I said, it depends on what you want to take from England, because it was a 50-50. It was a complete flip-flop between round 3 and round 4. Going on to second, we've got France. God knows how they came second. France, by their standards, didn't have a good tournament. They should not be as high as they are. I mean, you look, they got absolutely thumped by Ireland round 1. Absolutely, 21 points or something was how much Ireland beat them by. They got incredibly lucky against Scotland that try wasn't given. They got incredibly lucky against Italy. Okay, did well against Wales and did well against England, but from the France that we saw at the World Cup to the France now. Now, yes, the France at the World Cup did lose to South Africa, but as I've said before, if you're if you're at a point that you're pushing South Africa as hard as France did, France were knackered. You could tell it. And I don't know if it's the fact that, Intermac, Dupont, and several other big names are out. I don't know if Fabien Galtier's lost interest or something. I've heard a few reports that he might have. But France just didn't look up for it, especially in those first 3 games. God knows how they got out of the first 3 games with a win and a draw. I think they got incredibly lucky, and that's not me sitting saying saltiness from a Scotland point of view. I think everyone agreed that both Scotland and Italy should have beaten them, and if it wasn't for those dodgy calls, they would have. So yeah, I think France are again a tough one to judge because they are missing a few key players. But if again, same as England, if you go off the last 2 games, France aren't that bad. They, especially that last 20 minutes against Wales and then most of the game against England, they actually look pretty good. And I don't know how much of that's backlash from the players, of the backlash from the fans and the media, but yeah. And then we'll move on to first now, which is of course Ireland. Ireland won the Six Nations, you have 2 in a row, and they'll be disappointed with the England game. I think that was slight. I don't want to say arrogance, but I think Ireland went in not expecting that much from England. They went in expecting what happened in the first few games, that they didn't really need to get out of second gear. And England, they also did it in a certain respect to the Scotland, but I think they were slightly more aware. And Scotland, because it was in Dublin, they didn't have the crowd behind them. And I think, Ireland did manage to get the job done there, but especially in the England game, they missed so many tackles. that was Ireland's problem in the England game. Now, yes, I know you've seen the camera angles of the foot and touch. I don't want to talk about that. I can see why the line judge didn't see it. I don't know why the TMO, if he had an angle, didn't pick up on it, but I'm not going to complain about it really. But Ireland just didn't, they weren't up for that game, and I don't get how you can't get up. Twickenham is one of the tough. I know Twickenham is not as daunting as it was 5-10 years ago, but it is still a tough place to go. And I don't get why Ireland just didn't turn up for it. And then, I suspect it's because they put 30 points easily in the first 3 games and thought, oh, England aren't very good at the minute, we'll walk through them. But England knew they weren't very good and tried to turn it around, and fair play to England. But, you know what I'm trying to say. Ireland, but apart from that, they looked really good. I thought, Crawley stepping into Sexton's boots, which are big boots to fill, I thought he looked pretty solid. You could tell he's not that, there was a few little things, but for his first major tournament as the main 10, I thought he did perfectly fine. He's definitely one for the future for Ireland. But yeah, it was alright for Ireland. It was alright. But thank you very much for watching. Let me know your thoughts. Back to the URC now. I will be live for the Glasgow game on Friday night, and I'll be live for the Edinburgh game on Saturday afternoon. And then if you want to see me go live for any other games, if I'm free, I'm happy to. Just let me know. But thank you very much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on the whole Six Nations. That's kind of what I'm getting from each team. So most are like 50-50, some good, some bad. Some are like Wales are pretty bad, and some like Ireland, bar the England game, they were fine. So thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe. Until next time, I shall see you absolute legends later.